Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected viewers, welcome to episode 6 of our Isa alayhi salatu wasalam mini-series by your host Moulana Azhar. Firstly, I'd like to say a big jazakumullah to all of you, especially for all of those who have kept up till now. So inshallah today we are on episode 6 and we will be covering, we will now be speaking towards the end of the life of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Okay, so his upliftment to the heavens, and before this, to understand what happened, why was he uplifted to the heavens, why did people want to kill him, assassinate him, we need to understand the people that he was dealing with. So Isa alayhi salatu wasalam had, like many prophets before him, was sent to the Bani Israel, and there are a few categories of people that are mentioned in the Quran when it comes to the story of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. Now when you look for other prophets in the Quran, for example, Shu'aib alayhi salatu wasalam, or Hud, the Prophet Hud, when they would invite their nations and their communities towards Islam, they would say, Ya Qawmi, O my people, O my nation, O my tribe. They used to call them by this. But when we see the story of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, the word that is mentioned here is Ya Bani Israel, O the children of Israel, i.e. Israel refers to Yaqub alayhi salatu wasalam, his progeny, who now we call the followers of the religion of Judaism. Okay, so Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, why didn't he say Ya Qawmi? Why didn't he adopt these people as his own? So the reason that the commentators have given is that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was not from the Bani Israel himself. He didn't have any connections or relationship with them. It's one of the reasons that's given. Okay, now the Bani Israel, like the prophets that had come before, and like other prophets with their respective nations and tribes and followers that used to come, what used to happen is some used to believe, some didn't used to believe, some had accepted the message of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam and some hadn't. Okay, so what ended up happening is, and this is mentioned in Surah Saf towards the final few verses, is that some believed in him and some they refuted him, and this eventually led up to attempts on his life where they wanted to assassinate him and, you know, basically silence him for once and for all. Okay, now I'm not going to get onto that part yet. Now you're going to have to keep that in your mind. We're going to quickly go on to the second category of followers, the second category of people that is mentioned when it comes to the incident of, when it comes to the story of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam in the Quran. And these are his disciples. These were known as the Hawariyun. Okay, Hawariyun. Also in the Quran mentioned Hawariyin, obviously because of grammatical reasons. But the Hawariyun are the disciples of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. And according to some sources, they were very few in number. There were only 12 of them in some sources. These people too, sometimes they would ask, in fact they had previously mentioned and asked Isa alayhi salatu wasalam for a miracle as well. They had asked him to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to provide them with a meal, what we call a repast, like a dawat, what we call dawat in our culture. Okay, a dawat of food, dawat of ta'am basically. They said that, can Allah give us a meal from the heavens just so that we are content that you are the Prophet of Allah. So we believe you're the Prophet of Allah, but we just want it to make us feel good. And obviously a meal from heaven is going to be something out of this world, literally, and that's going to be amazing. So this was the reason, and this incident is mentioned in Surah Ma'idah towards the last few verses. And Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he did warn them on that occasion that if you are true believers, then you should be cautious of what you're saying. However, the Mufassirun, the commentators have mentioned that whether this meal was gifted to the people, the Hawariyun, the disciples, or whether it wasn't, it's not very clear if it was or wasn't gifted to them. But there's a lesson in there for us that as a believer, you shouldn't always ask for miracles and proofs for your religion to be true. This is a sign of a weakness in your belief. So this is the lesson that we can take from this. So if we fast forward now to the part where I was speaking earlier on, the Bani Israel, they were out there to have an attempt at the life of Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. and they weren't successful. Our belief as Muslims, the majority opinion is that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he was not killed in this worldly life, and he was raised to the heavens. And this is referred to in two places. One is in Surah Ali Imran, verse 55, and also in Surah An-Nisa, between verses 157 to 158. This is mentioned there, that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he neither was crucified, he was neither killed, but he was lifted up to the heavens. And this is our belief as Muslims, that Isa alayhi salatu wasalam was lifted to the heavens, and he will return one day again. And to hear about that return, inshallah, make sure that you stay tuned in for our next episode where I'll be discussing that. And as always, make sure that you're following us, you've subscribed to YouTube. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.